The litany of failure at the Home Office over successive administrations from Theresa May and the hostile environment, probably even going all the way back to the former Labour government under Tony Blair, and Badenoch, Patel, Cooper, culminates in a curious episode of taxpayer-funded opulence at the London's Gherkin. And the department charged with safeguarding the nation's borders and ensuring public safety has certainly been at the centre of controversy, but it's also been at the centre of concerns about incompetence and excess. And here is a demonstration. A meal costing £10,000 at Circe's, a high-rise luxury restaurant, has reignited public anger, or at least it should. The necessary expense, we're told, hosting 45 officials, including Italian counterparts, in discussions purportedly aimed at curbing channel crossings, results in a taxpayer-funded freebie at a place covering a 360-degree view of London, while critics such as John O'Connell of the Taxpayers Alliance rightly asked, couldn't a government facility suffice for this meeting? This extravagant display seems hardly defensible. And it's particularly galling when juxtaposed with the Home Office's litany of failings. Going back, the Windrush scandal. Theresa May's hostile environment directly created the Windrush scandal and this disregard for paper bureaucracy, turning a clean out into a humanitarian disaster, with long-standing UK residents wrongly deported or stripped of basic rights, and compensation efforts remain glacial and inadequate and patronising. People who are deserving of compensation and help are forced to genuflect towards these twits who manage one of the most incompetent offices in Whitehall. The immigration issue is well documented, with vulnerable individuals detained indefinitely or housed in hotels by hotel chains that are failing, and they've found a quick fix with a government contract, which was negotiated by Priti Patel and by Suella Braverman. And even if the Home Office were to get off its go slow horse and to actually do something, we would still be left with the bill for these exorbitant hotel contracts. Controversial deportation flights under Patel's watch, sparking outrage, bypassing due process. It's all a litany of laziness. May's pledge to slash migration to the tens of thousands, an emblem of a policy disconnected from reality, undermining public trust. Landlords and NHS staff deputised as immigration officers in a Kafkaesque framework that sows the seeds of discrimination and fear and promulgates failure by the British government of whatever political hue it may represent. Then there's Brexit, which amplified the chaos already existing, demonstrating that the insufficient staff, the inadequate customs preparation, the endless delays already evident before Brexit have been souped up by this Brexit nonsense, revealing managerial incompetence at the most extraordinary level. The asylum backlogs and the mismanagement, with thousands languishing in limbo, exacerbated by the appalling conditions of their housing. The Bibi Stockholm barge fiasco is one of a number of failed solutions. The budget cuts to the police, the slashes under Theresa May, which led to a rise in violent crime, still has not been sorted out. If you want a police, If you want the help of the police, you cannot get it. I went to my local police station the other day, and it was closed, with diminishing capacity to respond effectively to a real situation. Well, groundbreaking anti-modern slavery acts appear on paper in Parliament, the victims struggle to access to support because the Home Office doesn't work and traffickers face scant enforcement. Rather like the police giving up on bicycle theft because they've not got enough resources. The complete waste of time with the Rwanda deportation scheme, as if the entire Home Office was dedicated to support the fantasies of Priti Patel and Suella Braverman. I have a dream. No, wasn't a dream, it's a continuing nightmare. Rwanda repeatedly ruled unlawful. This is why we have a principle that the law is greater than politics. And if, once you've had a legal decision, you can then go back to the House of Commons and overturn it and declare Rwanda to be safe when the law has said it isn't, this makes a nonsense of the entire political process in Westminster and elsewhere. A nonsense pursued with zeal, at taxpayer expense, taxpayer funds hemorrhaging into legal battles which, by their very nature, demonstrate the inadequacy of the people in charge, who haven't read their history, let alone their paperwork. And then there's the bullying allegations. Sir Philip Ruttenham painting an even further bleak picture of workplace culture, the passport delays. If you have any dealings with the passport office, you know how useless that is and how rude the passport staff are on the end of the telephone. You can't access anybody. It takes 40 days, apparently, to even get a letter. Well, I know that because I'm waiting for one. The cost overruns, the e-Borders IT project, which squandered millions, contracts with firms like G4S yielding poor service at astronomical cost, and the domestic violence failures, the legislation which was put out to protect migrant women, it failed. It undermines the Domestic Abuse Act of 2021. The Gherkin meal symbolises and crystallises the Home Office's ethos: excess for the privileged few, while reform is sidelined and chaos is encouraged. That meal didn't stop the boats, but it certainly polished some egos. How can an agency with such glaring inefficiencies justify exceptional permission for such expenditure? This isn't just a financial issue, it's symbolic of broader rot. For every bureaucrat sipping wine with a view of the Shard, there are asylum seekers left destitute, victims of crime without justice, people who have extraordinary capacity, who have great capabilities, who have degrees in excess of those twits sipping the wine, left in limbo because the Home Office cannot be bothered to get off its backside and do some work. And taxpayers are footing the bill for this ineptitude. The Home Office's failures are not isolated. They stem from a myopic approach, prioritising image over substance. And whether it's mishandling Windrush, neglecting asylum seekers, or wasting money on IT disasters, it doesn't matter if you blame Theresa May or Blunkett or Patel or Braverman or Cooper. The message is the same. This is about a ministry that has failed in its job. It's failing at the moment. It is a dead ministry. It is a ministry that needs a root and branch surgery if any of it is to survive. This is more important than all the meddling around with the House of Lords. I'll get to that one later today, I think, because I think it's important to deal with the House of Lords legislation. Because again, what we're perpetuating and what we're consolidating in the House of Lords legislation is a crony back-patting elite rather than an efficient political assembly that takes care. And we should have all the various forms of our administration, whether it is local, whether it is national, whether it is legal, should be taking care. The only thing that the Home Office seems to take care of is its stomach. And all you have to do is go back to Plato's Republic to see that those who take care of their stomach are the lowest part of society. A society fed on its stomach, a society that is governed by its stomach, is a society that is failing. A society led by stupidity and by passion, the passion of its stomach. It doesn't look well. It doesn't look good. And let the Gherkin debacle serve as a reminder then. Extravagance in failure amplifies public anger. It's time for reform, not just in policy, but in priority.